Some people say that fate is just a word we use when we don't understand why things happen. But what if I told you about two people who were never supposed to meet, yet couldn't stay apart? This is a story about love that breaks every rule, about hearts that collide in the worst possible moment and create something beautiful from the wreckage. Her name was Emma Clark, 28 years old, a kindergarten teacher who believed that every child deserved to be seen, to be heard, to matter. Emma had the kind of smile that made you feel safe, the kind of voice that could calm a crying 5-year-old with just 3 words. I'm right here, but here's what most people didn't know about Emma. Every Tuesday and Thursday evening, she sat beside a hospital bed in room 247, holding the hand of someone who couldn't hold back. Her younger sister, Grace, 23 years old, a painter who saw the world in colors most of us couldn't even name. Grace had been in a coma for 8 months, a car accident that came out of nowhere on an ordinary Wednesday afternoon. One moment she was driving to her first art gallery showing. The next, Emma's world stopped that day, but she made a promise. Every Tuesday and Thursday, no matter what, she would be there. She would talk to Grace about everything, the kids at school, the weather, the way the autumn leaves looked like fire against the gray sky. I read somewhere that people in comas can hear you, Emma would whisper. So I'm going to keep talking, Gracie, until you come back to me. 70 miles away, in a city apartment that felt more like a cage than a home, there was a man named Daniel Rivers. Daniel was 32, an architect who designed buildings where other people would build their lives, their memories, their futures. But he couldn't seem to design a future for himself. From the outside, Daniel had everything figured out. Successful career. Respected in his field. The kind of guy people called put together. But inside, Daniel was drowning. 3 years ago, Daniel was engaged. Her name was Sophia. They'd planned a life together. A house with a blue door. Kids someday. Sunday mornings making pancakes that always burned on one side. But 6 months before the wedding, Sophia got a job offer across the country. Her dream job, the opportunity she'd worked for since college. Daniel asked her to stay. Sophia asked him to come with her. Neither of them could compromise, so they ended it. Clean break, they said. Better this way. But here's the thing about clean breaks. So there they were, Emma and Daniel, 2 people who'd never met, living in different cities, carrying different kinds of grief, their lives running on parallel tracks that should never intersect. But then, on a cold Friday morning in November, Emma received a call that changed everything. It was Dr. Patterson, Grace's neurologist, and he had news. Emma, we need you to come in today. Grace's condition has changed. The way he said changed. Emma couldn't tell if it meant hope or goodbye. Emma dropped everything. Called the school. Got someone to cover her class. Threw on her coat and ran to her car, hands shaking so hard she could barely get the keys in the ignition. She had to drive 70 miles to St. Catherine's Medical Center, the only facility with the specialist Grace needed. 70 miles of highway through November rain that turned everything gray. Meanwhile, Daniel was also on that same highway, heading in the opposite direction. He'd gotten a call, too, from his mother. Danny, it's your father. He collapsed at work. They're running tests. Can you come home? So there they were, Emma driving north, Daniel driving south, both of them terrified, both of them praying to whoever might be listening, both of them about 70 miles from home, and 40 miles from each other to AT exactly 11:47 a.m. on mile marker 52. Emma's tire blew out. She managed to pull onto the shoulder, heart hammering, hands trembling. Safe. She was safe. But her car definitely wasn't going anywhere. No cell service. No spare tire. She'd been meaning to replace it for weeks. And the nearest exit was 5 miles back. Emma stood there in the freezing rain, 70 miles from her sister, completely alone. And that's when Daniel's car appeared through the rain. He saw her there, this woman in a soaked blue coat, crying by the side of the road, and something in his chest tightened. Maybe it was the way she looked so small against the storm. Maybe it was because he knew that kind of desperation, that kind of fear. Hey! Daniel called over the rain. Are you okay? Emma looked up, mascara running, hair plastered to her face, and she tried to speak, but instead, she just started crying harder. I need to get to St. Catherine's Medical Center, Emma managed. My sister, there's an emergency. I have to be there. That's where I'm heading, Daniel said quietly. My father's there. Come on. I'll drive you. And just like that, two strangers became passengers in the same storm. For the first 20 minutes, neither of them spoke. What do you say to a stranger who's just rescued you from the worst day of your life? Thank you. That feels too small. The silence wasn't awkward, though. It was the kind of quiet that happens when two people are carrying too much weight to make small talk. Finally, Daniel spoke. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. But, is your sister going to be okay? Emma turned to look at him. Really look at him. He had kind eyes. Tired eyes. Eyes that had cried before. I don't know, she whispered. She's been in a coma for 8 months. The doctor called this morning and said there's been a change, but he wouldn't say what kind of change. I don't know if she's waking up or if I'm going to say goodbye. Daniel's throat felt tight. He didn't know this woman. Didn't know her sister. But God, he knew that fear. That specific terror of not knowing whether you're racing toward a miracle or a funeral. I'm sorry, he said, and he meant it in a way that went deeper than politeness. I can't imagine. What about your father? She asked, voice still shaky. Is he? Collapsed at work, Daniel said. They're running tests. Heart, they think. He's only 61. He's supposed to walk my future daughter down the aisle someday. He's supposed to teach my kids how to fish. He's supposed to have more time. And there it was, the thing that connected them. Not shared interests or mutual friends or clever conversation. Pain. Raw, honest, terrifying pain. The kind that strips away all the masks we wear and leaves us exposed. What's your name? Daniel asked softly. Emma Clark. Daniel Rivers, what's your name? Daniel asked softly. Emma Clark. Daniel Rivers. It's nice to meet you, Emma. I wish it was under better circumstances. Me too. They started talking then. Really talking. About Grace, how she painted sunrises because she said they reminded her that everything gets a second chance. About Daniel's father, how he built furniture in his garage and left little notes in the drawers saying, "Made with love by John Rivers," so people would remember him. They talked about broken engagements and missed opportunities. About how Daniel sometimes drove by the church where he was supposed to get married just to torture himself. About how Emma kept Grace's paintbrushes in a glass jar on her kitchen counter waiting. That somewhere around mile marker 35, Emma realized she'd stopped shaking. Somewhere around mile marker 28, Daniel realized he was smiling, actually smiling, for the first time in weeks, but as the hospital got closer, the weight came back. Heavier now, because they'd had 45 minutes of forgetting. Of being two people talking in a car instead of two people racing toward possible disaster to we're almost there, Daniel said quietly. Emma nodded. Her hands were shaking again. Whatever happens in there, he said, you won't be alone. I'm in the building if you need someone. Room 847. My dad. If you need to. I don't know. Not be alone. Room 247, she whispered. My sister. If you need the same. They walked into St. Catherine's Medical Center side by side, through the automatic doors that smelled like antiseptic and fear, past the reception desk with its fake flowers and two bright lights. Second floor, Emma said. Eighth floor, Daniel replied. The elevator arrived. Reality rushed back in. I hope your sister wakes up, Daniel said quickly. I hope you get your miracle. I hope your dad is okay, Emma replied. I hope you get more time. They stood there for a moment that felt like an hour. Two people who'd known each other for less than 60 minutes, but had already shared pieces of themselves they hadn't shown anyone else in years. Emma, Daniel said, And then she was gone. Second floor, room 247. He pressed the button for the 8th floor. Emma's legs felt like concrete. Each step toward room 247 felt like walking toward a cliff edge. 8 months she'd been making this walk. 8 months of sitting beside Grace, talking to silence, hoping for anything, a finger twitch, an eye flutter, a sign that her sister was still in there, and now there'd been a change. She pushed open the door. Grace. Grace's lips moved. Barely. Just a whisper that sounded like whine through leaves. Emma couldn't breathe, couldn't speak, could only hold her sister's hand and cry, the kind of crying that's relief and joy and 8 months of held-back grief all pouring out at once till you're awake, Emma sobbed. Oh God, Gracie, you're awake. You came back. You came back to me. Told you. I'd never miss your wedding, Grace whispered, her voice rough from months of silence. That I'm not even dating anyone, you idiot. Then, I woke up just in time to help you find someone. It was a miracle. A real, genuine miracle. Grace would need months of physical therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy. The road ahead was long, but she was awake. She was here. She came back. Emma stood in that hospital corridor, overwhelmed by gratitude and exhaustion and joy. She'd gotten her miracle. Grace was going to be okay. And suddenly, she thought of Daniel, 8th floor, room 847. Had he gotten his miracle too? No, he hadn't. That it was massive, the doctor had said. A heart attack. By the time Hour-long conversations at midnight when neither of them could sleep. Daniel would tell Emma about his father, the good memories, the funny stories, the regrets. Emma would tell Daniel about Grace's recovery, the small victories, the setbacks, the hope that kept growing stronger. "Do you believe things happen for a reason?" Daniel asked one night. Emma was quiet for a moment. "I don't know. I think maybe we make the reasons. We find meaning in things because we're human and that's what we do." "So you're saying we're creating meaning in a random universe?" "I'm saying maybe you and I were both on that highway because we needed each other. Maybe there's no cosmic plan, but there's connection. Choice. We chose to help each other. We chose to not be alone. That means something." "You're pretty wise for a kindergarten teacher. 5-year-olds teach you a lot about life." For weeks after they first met, Daniel drove back to Emma City. 70 miles. The same highway where they collided. He texted her, "Wanna get coffee? Actually decent coffee, not hospital vending machine coffee. Asterisk Emma, only if you're not secretly an axe murderer. Asterisk Daniel, I promise I'm just a sad architect who drinks too much coffee. Asterisk Emma, perfect. I'm a kindergarten teacher who cries at insurance commercials. We'll get along great. Asterisk. They sat across from each other at a table by the window. And for the first time, they weren't in crisis, weren't running toward emergencies, weren't drowning in grief. They were just two people, having coffee. "Grace wants to meet you," Emma said. "She says anyone who rescued her sister on a highway is her hero." "I'd like that. I'd like to meet the artist who paints sunrises. And I want you to tell me about your dad," Emma said gently. "The real him, not just the grief. The man." So Daniel talked. For an hour, then 2. He told Emma about his father's terrible jokes, about how John Rivers always left the toilet seat up and drove Daniel's mom crazy, about the furniture with the hidden notes, about the time they went fishing and didn't catch a single fish but laughed until their sides hurt. And Emma talked about Grace, about how she'd always been the brave one, the dreamer, about how, when they were kids, Grace would paint murals on their bedroom walls, and their parents would pretend to be mad but secretly take photos. About how even now, recovering in the hospital, Grace was asking for paints. "I should go," Daniel finally said. "Long drive back." Emma nodded, but neither of them moved. "Daniel, I know this might sound crazy. We've only known each other a few weeks, and we met during the worst days of our lives. But I don't want you to go. I don't want to go either." And there it was, the moment when two hearts that had collided in tragedy decided to stay connected in healing. Daniel started making the drive every weekend. 70 miles felt like nothing when Emma was at the end of it. He'd visit on Friday nights, and they'd have dinner at that same coffee shop. They'd talk about everything and nothing. About Daniel's grief, which came in waves, sometimes crushing, sometimes gentle. About Grace's recovery, which was miraculous and frustrating and slow and beautiful all at once. Daniel met Emma's kindergarten students, 5-year-olds who asked him impossible questions like, "Why is the sky blue?" and "Do you love Miss Emma?" and made him help them build block towers that always collapsed. Emma met Daniel's mother, Margaret, who hugged Emma tight and whispered, "Thank you for bringing light back to his eyes." 6 months after they met, Daniel moved 70 miles to Emma City. He got a job at a local architecture firm, found an apartment 10 minutes from Emma's place. "Are you sure?" Emma had asked when he told her. "That's a big change. Emma, I've spent 3 years living in a city that felt empty. You know what I realized? Home isn't a place. It's a person. And you're my home." 8 months after waking up, Grace held her first art exhibition. Small gallery, local artists, but her paintings, 23 pieces, showing the journey from darkness to light, sold out in one night. Emma stood in front of Grace's centerpiece, a massive canvas showing two figures walking toward each other through a storm. One walking into darkness, one walking into light, meeting in the middle. The title card beside it read Collision. Below that, in smaller text, for Emma and Daniel, who taught me that sometimes we find our light in someone else's darkness. That night, after the gallery closed, the four of them sat together: Emma, Daniel, Grace, and Margaret. They had dinner at a restaurant with too much wine and too loud laughter and stories that went on too long. They toasted to John Rivers, to second chances, to Grace, both the person and the concept, to highways in the rain, to strangers who become lifelines. 1 year to the day after their first meeting, Daniel brought Emma back to mile marker 52. "Why are we stopping here?" Emma asked as Daniel pulled off onto the shoulder the exact spot where her tire had blown out. "Because this," Daniel said, gesturing to the highway, "is where my life changed. This is where I met you. A year ago, I was driving down this highway thinking my life was over, thinking I'd never feel anything again except grief and regret and emptiness. And then I saw you, soaked in crying and completely lost. And I know this sounds insane, but Emma, in that moment, something in me woke up. I don't believe in fate," Daniel continued. "I believe in choice. And I choose you. Every day, every moment, every breath." "Emma Clark," Daniel said, voice shaking. "Will you marry me?" "Yes," Emma whispered. Then louder, "Yes, yes, yes, yes." They got married in April, in a small church with a blue door, the same color Emma had always dreamed of. Daniel's father wasn't there to walk Emma down the aisle, so Grace did, slowly, still recovering but strong enough. "He'd be so proud of you," Emma had told Daniel the night before the wedding. "I know," Daniel said. "I feel him, in the small things, the way the morning light comes through the windows, the way things just fit together. He's here." When Emma reached the altar, she and Daniel stood facing each other, and the officiant asked them to share their vows. Daniel went first. "Emma, 1.5 years ago I was broken. I thought broken was all I'd ever be. And then you showed up in the rain, and you were broken too. And somehow our broken pieces fit together. You didn't fix me. That's not what this is. You stood beside me while I put myself back together. You held my hand through the worst days. You laughed with me through the better ones. You made me believe in second chances, in new beginnings, in love that's born from pain and grows into something beautiful. I promise to be that person for you, to stand beside you, to hold your hand, to choose you, every single day, for the rest of our lives." "Daniel," Emma began, voice shaking, "I don't think I believed in soulmates before you. I thought soulmates were a fairy tale, a movie ending, something that didn't exist in real life. But then you stopped on a highway in the rain for a stranger. You drove me to my sister. You held my hand when I was terrified. And later, you let me hold yours when you were grieving. You taught me that soulmates aren't people who complete us. They're people who stand with us, who see our darkness and don't run, who choose us even when we're messy and broken and scared. I choose you, Daniel Rivers, in the rain and in the sunshine, in grief and in joy, in every moment we have left. I choose you. By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Daniel, you may kiss your bride. Emma and Daniel's story isn't about fate. It's about choice. The choice to stop for a stranger. The choice to accept help. The choice to call when you're falling apart. The choice to show up when someone needs you. The choice to love even when you're terrified of losing again. They still fight sometimes. Still have days when old wounds ache. Still struggle with things that probably won't ever fully heal. But they do it together. And that's the real love story. Not the meeting. Not the proposal. Not the wedding. The real love story is the dishes. The quiet nights. The choosing each other again and again and again, even when it's hard. especially when it's hard.